everybody doing? I hope you are enjoying your holiday as much as you can enjoy a holiday in the midst of the pandemic. Fam, we're gonna keep it kind of easy breezy because we don't have to go in too deep. But we got to talk about some things. But before we do any of that, I still forgot to bring an image of the book club book. I don't reveal without images. So hit the like button for me. Please hit that like button. If you have not hit that like button, please subscribe. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please take the time to do that. Please hit the bell to get notifications. As usual, if you want to donate, you can go to donatebrown.com, patreon.com/ycarnell, all of that good stuff. But please hit that like button and please subscribe. Those two are very, 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 very important. And I would appreciate it. I absolutely. Oh, also go to subscribe to brown.com, and give me your email address. I would appreciate that as well. I am not a spammer. I will not spam you, but I have been sending out the newsletter because there's a pandemic, giving everybody the news for right now. So please do that. I would appreciate it. Thank you so much. Now listen, fam, let's get into it. Now, it's a whole lot of hubbub, and I spoke about it somewhat for like 30 minutes. I said it was going to be 10. You know, I get long-winded about Charlamagne but then he went on an interview with Reid, and they had a conversation. And we have to talk about what's kind of happening, how people are running. You ever watch baseball and somebody's trying to go to one base, they on first, and they got that long leg out to second, and they're going to try to make it. And then somebody hits the ball and they try to make it, and they try to run back, and they be running between bases. You ever seen that? I know people took over baseball, and so we don't really watch no more, and but I'm just saying, have you ever seen that? That's kind of where we are. People run one way, then run back the other way, then run back another way, and we end up in a certain space. Now people are having problems. Now, with the Charlamagne and the Reid and there's been some disagreement online in terms of co-opting of ADOS, and we're gonna set all that straight tonight. We're gonna set all of that straight in terms of Charlamagne and ADOS and what he did and what he didn't do. Because here's one of the problems I just want to talk about before we really get into the meat. But I think this might be the meat. We have to talk about this. Everybody's gonna have to stop saying this, because it's not the fact that everybody says like, well, Yvette, aren't you happy? Aren't you just happy that somebody is on MSNBC saying what you and Antonio have been saying and what ADOS has been saying? Shouldn't you just be happy that somebody's on there having that conversation? And the answer is yes and no. Because here's the problem. People will say stuff like, well, Yvette, you shouldn't make it about just who gets the credit. Well, I'm not. The problem, though, becomes you can't be a person who just gets in front of the energy and gets the credit, and you don't accept the blame. So you didn't take the arrows, but you're going to take the flowers. That's not how life works. That's not how movements work. Certainly not a movement like this. This has the potential of being a very costly movement for you. I've been doing this for 10 years and just started getting donations the last three, was like late 2016, 17. I think you have to, if you want to have a strong movement, you have to be willing to deal with the cost of that. It's not a problem of just disliking what Charlamagne said, although he had, he said one thing wrong. He said, when he quoted, I think he was quoting Dr. Claude Anderson. He said, for white people, it's out of sight, out of mind in terms of racism. And we have to really have a thorough understanding of this. I want us to have a thorough understanding of something. It's not out of sight, out of mind. How we are treated is not an out of sight, out of mind thing. How we are treated is because we are the shoes that are used to run America, right? We're not like just put the black people over here and we don't want to deal with them. It's no, somebody has to eat this failure. This failure has to be consumed. We have to have somewhere to put the nuclear plants. We have to have somewhere to put all of the trash of America. Somebody's got to take these payday loans. Everybody can't have that. We have to put all of the trash. Somebody had to build a country and suffer for it. It couldn't have been everybody. Somebody has to maintain that space. And whoever maintains that space at the bottom of the cast can't move up. You're not moving up. There is no upward mobility for that group. That is what has been decided. So it's not just an apology. It's not just what white people have decided not to do. You have to really kind of have a thorough and nuanced understanding of race. It's not just about black, or like Charlamagne said before, black privilege. Right? There is no such thing as black privilege. And it's like the color of my skin. When he wrote the book, he kept saying that. And Antonio and I challenged him on that, because it's not about melanin. If that were the case, Indian Americans who come here and become CEO of tech companies wouldn't be made white so quickly. This is not a melanin conversation. This is bigger than your Crayola. But I'm not saying that, understand that I am not saying that Charlamagne did not improve at all. That there was not some improvement. Right? But whatever, if the fact that he's even talking about policies now, as opposed to what you have in your bag, understand the fact that he is talking about what you owe, that it's not just enough for us to fear Donald Trump. Right? It's not just enough for you to do that. For us to do that, we have to know what's in it for us. That is a conversation that we have been having. And not only have we been having, we've been asking Charlamagne to also have, and other people to also have, and calling on people to have the conversation that we want them to have. So you have to understand the origin story of everything that's happening right now. And there is no origin story without talking about ADOS and what ADOS has done and paved the way for. Now, if you go in there and you say, shout out, I'm working in a collaborative effort with ADOS. They're doing some good work, and I don't know everything. Nobody knows everything. But I'm working with them, and they have kind of pushed me in this direction. It's a different direction than what I was on. Then I think we have a different conversation. But this is about, this is about the cause. See, let me just show you something real quick. Hold on one second. Because you have to talk about where everybody has been in this journey. You have to talk about it. There is no way to not have the conversation about who was on first, second, and third, and who was doing what, when, and where. Like this is Charlamagne 3 years ago talking about black privilege, and he says you can't tell me that being black doesn't mean I'm privileged. Now, here's what I was calling on Charlamagne to do, something very different 3 years ago. See, and that's the kind of advocacy you have to have in this space. This is not a space. This is not a space where you can kind of weave in and weave out. This ain't traffic, baby. This is advocacy. So if you're not willing to stay in this space and keep these arrows and face these arrows, then I don't know what we're doing. And you should give some credit to the people who, you should understand where Charlamagne was versus where he is now. And what led up and what built up to that. I'm just going to say I have an idea. So I want to play a video really quick, and we'll just come back and talk about it if I can get it up. I want to talk about the Charlamagne the God thing in the context. His book is called Black Privilege. I have just talked for like 20 minutes about Henrietta Lacks and her family dying, and them using her cells, and then her cell never telling them, taking the money, moving and never giving them anything. In the context of that conversation, Charlamagne the God is writing a book about black privilege. No such thing exists. That's the whole point. And even him, you know how we talk about people diluting your claim? He's diluting the claim because he don't understand nothing, no.
Yeah, let's go in on that.
Because he doesn't understand what we talk about here. We spend a lot of time here talking about data. We spend a lot of time here talking about data and what the data means for the black community and what's been taken from the black community and what we need to take whole to be made whole and what we need in terms of money being put in our pockets. We spend a lot of time talking about that.
Maybe he goes into data in the book.
Yeah, I read a little bit of the book.
He didn't. It wasn't charts and graphs.
It was bad.
Oh, okay.
It was bad. It was. I mean, the book is bad. Like, at least get a ghostwriter. Like, at least get a ghostwriter. I mean, even the cover of the book. Look at it. It doesn't look like you see covers of books. It doesn't look like just you in a chair, like tilted back. I don't even want to call him Charlamagne the God. What's his real name? Find his real name for me. I don't call your boy. Nobody don't call you Charlamagne no God. Like this ain't what that's a caricature. That's like calling somebody Superman. You just made up a name for yourself like you a rapper, but then you say like in the book, I am a great listener. Like based on what? Leonard. Leonard or Leonard? It might be Leonard.
I think it's Leonard.
Leonard, listen. Let me break it down. I have told everybody, I have said this to, I cannot say it anymore, that these people are in charge of social engineering. What he says in his book is that he says at one point, I have to believe in black privilege. That's what I have to tell myself. What you're basically telling us is that you have to lie to yourself. Like how I get by in my life is lying to myself. And then I know what people are going to say to me. They're going to say to me, well, Yvette, Charlamagne got a bunch of money. You ain't got no money. Don't y'all understand this Negro fell into some money? Like, ain't nothing he did to go get no money. He didn't do anything. He didn't have no plan. I love when people write books and then they'll go back and like, well, my plan, I always had a vision. I always thought since I was a little bitty boy that I was going to be X, Y, and Z. And I always had a plan. Let me tell you what, those are lies. When he was out on them streets, did he have a plan? When he was selling that, did he have a plan? Did he have a plan then? Charlamagne could have been, were it not for the grace of God or somebody else, Charlamagne could have been, or the grace of white people, Charlamagne could have been serving 30 life right now. Just based on what he said he did in his life before he became Charlamagne the God. Right. There are many people who got caught and not just arrested 1 or 2 or 3 times, but got caught up in that mandatory minimum and are away for the rest of their lives. You could have been one of those people, Charlamagne. It's just luck. It's just your luck and whatever you were willing to do. A lot of these people who are at the top, y'all don't understand, they're willing to do some stuff that a lot of us are not willing to do. They're willing to go places and say things and kiss fingers and kiss something else that we're not willing to do. And that's why they make it to the top. Don't you think that the strongest get to the top? Even in the drug game, the ones who don't snitch go to jail. The ones who do snitch get out. We don't have the strongest people on the street right now. So don't think that just because somebody has money that they strong or they tough. No. He's lucky. And instead of realizing, listen, I was lucky. I didn't get caught up. I did some bad stuff, but I never got caught up in the 3 strike stuff. I was lucky. I could go to jail, but I'm just going to help my people because that's what happened. He don't do that. You know what he does?
He might not be about helping his people.
No, he just wants to listen, let me give you everybody a rule. Stay away from black people who try to make you feel bad about your position. Even Kanye West talking about, don't you see the private jets flying over you? I'm finished. Who is that?
That's Tommy LaHair, the conservative
columnist. Yeah, put that up. Yeah, even like anybody who tries to make you feel bad for working hard every day and doing the best you can, talking about black privilege, I made it my way. I did what I had to do.
No, you made it some other guy's way.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're part of a strategy.
That's who runs you. Dude, that's who runs you. That's who owns you. Yeah. That's who owns your show and everything. What kind of thing? You had the privilege to get hired by somebody.
Right. And let's be honest. He was picked because he will sit in the studio while someone else asks Miss Clinton about hot sauce and he won't butt in. He was picked because
he'll say, well, you know they're gonna say that we came up with that and you know they're gonna be offended by that. He's picked. You know why he's picked?
Why is he picked?
He's picked because he won't ask Hillary Clinton the questions that I'll ask if I'm in her face.
Exactly.
That's why you're there.
That's why you're there.
You're not there for no specific talent. You're not there because you're a great listener. You're not there because you're a great thinker. You're there because you don't challenge the status quo. And that ain't nothing to be proud of. As a black person, as a descendant of slaves, that ain't nothing to be proud of.
And it's not like you're playing basketball or you're super talented.
Mutants exist.
Yeah. Right. No. His job is in media.
Yeah.
His job is in media.
Yeah.
And he's not going to ask questions.
And he just, and these people, let me just say this. These people should not be allowed in the political sphere.
Yes.
If you want to ask an entertainer a question and ask saying, well, what you think about, and this is how Charlamagne does. Charlamagne, you'll be sitting there and they'll be asking a question and the person's like, well, that's like we talked about. Well, what do you do if they say that? And he'll just ask a small question and let the person go on. That's great if you're just dealing with entertainers. When you're talking to politicians, your job is to be combative, especially when your group, African Americans, are on the edge. That's your job. You're not doing your job. So what you need to do is just like, I don't interview political figures. I just don't. Cause think about the biggest interview that the black community got from Hillary Clinton was Charlamagne the God and DJ Envy. And what's the little other girl name? Yee. Like YEE or something like that. Like that's what we got. This is like gossip news. And they're interviewing people in politics. They don't know policies. And that's what we have. And let me just say this. And I'm not trying to be mean because I'm in this group too. There's no privilege in coming from slaves. He saw a book called Black Privilege. There's no privilege in coming from slaves. There is theft. There is hardship. There is victimization. All of that stuff that we never got paid for. You don't have any privilege. You fell into some money. And that was 3 years ago. And listen, Charlamagne, you came a long way. I think we should just be honest about how you came a long way and what can and cannot happen at this point. You came a long way. Still not combative enough, but you left some space for him to babble and whatever. So I let that go. But you've come a long way. It's almost like what I said was kind of a roadmap. But what we're not going to do, that was me 3 years ago. 3 years ago, you was doing something different. You can't weave in and out of this. First of all, you can't weave in and out of this space. That's first of all. I know everybody thinks they can just be wild and willy-nilly and do whatever they want to do. You can just swing in this space and swing out and do whatever you want to do. You can eat the fruit and not the cost. That's not how you do collective uplift. It's nothing personal. But you don't get to just get in front of the energy and not kind of have a collaborative effort with the people who brought the energy. I'm done with just taking all the daggers and the arrows and everybody else just kind of walk off and everybody be like, isn't that great, Yvette? No, because I don't even know too, since you were at the thing with the opportunities on, I don't even know if you can get co-opted, right? So I don't know. You was there with Tim Scott, and I'm not even saying, I need Republicans, black Republicans to even understand this is a debt. This is not a big government program. Don't you pay your debts? Well, America needs to pay their debts. So I'm not even saying like he's awful, but he was a proxy for opportunity zones, which was a proxy for tax cuts for the rich, which was a proxy for Trump. So I don't know why you were there, so I have questions. And it's not just Charlamagne. I got questions about a lot of stuff. The one part, I liked him talking for a while, but the one part where Charlamagne should have really kind of drilled down when he said, you mean your plan, lift every voice? And he was like, no, Biden was like, no, I got a whole manifesto. No. Do you know that your program is called Lift Every Voice? Have you heard of your own program called Lift Every Voice? Because you seem confused to me. And it's hard because you have to manage being combative in a way that's not disrespectful or whatever. Now, there are some things that I don't, I kind of don't agree on, right? Antonio said that maybe he thought, how white people, sometimes Biden has said he thought people be corn pop. He done said some stuff that sounds kind of racist, and he was at the pool with the Negro children. So, Antonio said that like maybe it was the hat. Because Charlamagne shows up everywhere with this little scully on. So he was like, hey, corn pop. But I don't think it was the hat, because I have kind of thought through this, and I don't know what kind of hat he could have been wearing that would have made this okay. I don't think it was the hat. I think it was Biden. I don't know if I would wear that hat to that kind of interview. But if I go through the hats, I don't really think the hat is the issue. I don't agree. That's why we disagree. I don't think the hat is the problem. You can go through a lot of different kind of hats you can put Charlamagne on, and I don't think that's the issue. I think Biden is who Biden has always been. He said he was hanging out with corn pop and shooting dices, and I think when you see anybody, when you see a Negro, that's kind of what you think. I don't know this Negro, he must be corn pop. He could have been a leprechaun. He gonna think he corn pop. So I don't blame necessarily Charlamagne for none of that and how you showed up. I don't think any of that changes who Biden is and how Biden views us in a certain specific way. But one of the things we got to stop doing, and I just want to say, you know, in a measured way too, you came a long way than what you was with Hillary Clinton, but you can't get in front of the energy. This is a collaborative effort. You cannot get in front of the energy that was built. This has been years of us taking daggers and taking hits and years of political education and years of all that stuff. This is not something that you just run into because you see it as an opportunity for a rebrand or an opportunity to do something new or an opportunity to do something different or an opportunity just to not to talk to little baby all the time. This is not what this is. This has to be something that you are in for the long haul, and it has to be an effort that you collaborate with the people who told you what to do on that video 3 years ago. I've been doing this since I've been doing this. Like I said, no weaving in and out. Now let's just go to the second, because part of the thing I want to say when I say weave in and out, it's not just, see, we got a lot of people, it's not just Charlamagne. And like I said, I wasn't harsh to Charlamagne at all. I was harsh then, and he seemed to take some of the advice, but then he went on there and did something different, and something else was very off. You know, Joy Reid has chased me all around the web, calling me a nativist. Now, one thing I do have in common with Dr. Claude Anderson is we have we actually agree a little bit on immigration in terms of, you know, how it displaces ADOS, especially unskilled ADOS. So we actually have that as a mutual agreement. The funniest thing is, though, I have that, and Joy Reid chased me all around the globe because of that, and smeared me because of that. But the funniest thing is smear ADOS because of that. But the funniest thing is when Charlamagne shouts out Dr. Claude Anderson, who mirrors my views, she says nothing. I think that lets you know this was never about what people said it was about. It was always about snuffing black activism. It was always about making sure that ADOS does not become the voice for black uplift, that the gatekeepers do their job, right? It was always about making sure that the gatekeepers do their job. And what has happened, because remember, I don't know if y'all remember Digital Sister, and Digital Sister came on and said, you know, on the Joy Reid show, and said if anybody uses the terms reparations or black agenda and all of that, then these people are bots and Russian agents, and you should not trust them. That's what she said. Now, let me get this off for a second. We'll get back to that. That's what she said. Bots, and we are bots and bots and bots and bots. Well, part of the reason that we're here now, in the way that we're here now, is that Joy Reid played the role of gatekeeper and suppressing. See, you want to talk about, Joy Reid wants to talk about suppressing the black vote, and these people are going to suppress the black vote. You were suppressing black activism, and that's why you are surprised now and shocked now. You should have just listened to us. See, Charlamagne showed up and parroted us and said something that we've been saying to you forever. He said to you in your show, on your face, the same thing we've been saying to you for months and months and months online and in person. We protested. We had ADOS people, they were protesting at your show. We have had all of that. If you had listened, you wouldn't be in this predicament. You wouldn't have been shocked and surprised, and I don't know how they got out the gate. You and your boy Malcolm Nance, all of y'all called us Russian bots. Well, I don't think I ever met a Russian. So Charlamagne comes and says to you the same thing I have been saying to you. And stop calling us. Like, honestly, you know, it's funny. What's funny to me is that, like, white voters do all kind of wild stuff. Like, they'll just vote, and to a certain extent, Latinos do it too. Just vote Democrat, Republican, do whatever. Swing back and forth, swing back and forth, swing back and forth. Well, I think ADOS and black voters in general, we have a different kind of swing. We'll swing out. We'll swing out altogether. We ain't showing up. Now, I don't advocate that. I advocate voting Democratic down ballot. But I'm saying, if you think of it that way, why isn't that a swing voter too? Why is like you didn't give me anything to show up for? Right? I always say there's something to show up for. But I don't care whether it's an initiative or what it is. But why is it always the way to demean the black voter? Oh, you just lazy. You should get Pookie up off the sofa. Pookie always laying down. Is it drunk? Isn't that what Obama said? Get Pookie out there. Obama, you shouldn't be able to say nothing about Pookie if you ain't got no cousin Pookie. If you ain't got no cousin Pookie or Ray Ray or Lil Mike, you shouldn't be able to say that. Stop all this, stop brown facing. It's too much. And that's what we're looking at. You can't weave out. You can't one day, be talking about black privilege and weave back in. You can't be a gatekeeper like Joy Reid. You can't, because it makes you a contradiction. If you say on one hand, there's no such, I can't think of it that way. If I can't be that way. I have to, if I think about it, I have to know. I have to know that I have privilege. I have to know that nobody does it better than me. And then you can't say stuff like this, like, reparations doesn't have to be in a check form. It could be acknowledging the idea that you did something wrong. You can't say stuff like that and then come back and be in this space, because if you ever get in a serious space, somebody's going to gut you. Now, see, if you had a collaborative effort, I would have told you, don't say that stupid stuff. It shall be used against you. Not in the court of law, but it'll be used somewhere. The court of public opinion. And this is the CNN article I just brought up. This is why this becomes problematic. Now, it's not that Charlamagne didn't grow. Kudos to you, but you can't just shoot out in front of the energy that was built up by ADOS. That's not how we're going to work this. That's not how we're going to do this. That's not how we're going to build this. That's not how we're going to make that happen, especially given this. So they asked Charlamagne about his book, CNN. Yeah, because people see black privilege and they automatically think white privilege. They asked why people have a problem with the name. Oh, which is something that is very prevalent. Oh, black people don't have privilege. Black people don't have no privilege, and you're making white people think that we're equal. What I'm simply trying to tell people is, I think it's a privilege to be black. I think when you look at the word privilege on the definition, it has two definitions. One is a definition for advantage granted to certain community, but the other definition is an honor to be, and I think it's an honor to be in this black skin. I don't think that my black skin is a liability. Well, the kind of blackness that we're talking about in terms of being ADOS is not about, it's so much bigger than being in your skin. There are a lot of people who are in darker skin. I bring up Indian Americans a lot. A lot of Latinos come here. We talked about that. We brought up the data about how they come here and they claim white. Race and how race has been used in this country is not just about skin. And they haven't made it like we have to live. We have to live in real life. I love the journey, the hero's journey, the survivor's journey, the perseverance journey of being ADOS. That's not the same as like loving melanin and kinky hair. Like, this is a specific lineage. You have to speak in the way of lineage. There are a lot of people with brown skin who are made white every day. And it doesn't change the fact, and they will walk around and be darker than you, darker than me, darker than everybody, and still see you as an N-word. Because this is a racial caste. That's what America made us into. So, that is kind of, that's problematic. And I understand why he views it. Everybody views it as like, before ADOS, everybody viewed it that way. He says, I don't think it's a burden. I just feel like we have access to a divine system that we can tap into that causes us to prosper in spite of everything that's thrown at us in a country, as a country. Well, if you believe that, then why do you need reparations? Tap into your divine system. If that's what you believe, then why do you need like restorative justice? Tap into the system. And I hope the system got an ATM. That's part of the problem. Hold on, let me bring this next one up. What do you tell people who believe the American dream wasn't for them? They're absolutely right. The American dream wasn't for them. America was never designed for any minority to prosper. Now, see, this is the thing. There are a lot of minority groups in America that are prospering. 1/3 of doctors are immigrants, and many of those are brown-skinned immigrants. Whether they be Indian, whether they be from the Middle East, whether they be Nigerian. There are a lot of brown people and minority people and Asian people who are the minority in this country who are prospering. This is not about the minority. This is about ADOS. America was designed for white people. And it was designed for people who were being made white, Charlamagne. People get made white all the time. How the Irish became white. There are other groups who become white every day. Simple as that. I would tell them we're here now, though. And you know, we've had people who come before us who fought for us to have civil liberties. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Was not out there marching and getting his butt kicked, you know, for us to just be sitting around saying, hey, it can't be done. No, we can't. We have access to go get it. So we need to go get it, regardless of how difficult or hard it may be. The American dream never was for us, but now it's time just for us to create our own dreams. Yeah, see, the problem is this doesn't make any sense. This doesn't make any sense. See, that's the thing. Like, that's a contradiction to say, like, the American dream is for us and we just got to go get it. And then say you owe us reparations. No, what you just said, that was a very conservative line. That the American dream is for us. We just got to go get it. That's a very do-for-self line, right? And it makes you into kind of like this walking and talking contradiction. And that's why it's best to like at least say like this people or these persons changed my mind. And like that's and like go to ADOS101.com or whatever. I believe X and like now I think I made a mistake. Like, because that line will be used against you. Like you need to honor your truth, Charlamagne. Like if you know all this came from ADOS, you need to honor your truth, because hiding your truth really hurts what you're trying to do anyway. Unless your whole thing is just to run in and run out. If your whole game is to just run in and run out before anybody figures out what it is, then okay, you don't care. But otherwise it's an incoherent. Otherwise your political outlook is very incoherent. Because you know why it's incoherent? Anytime you omit something that's necessary to the story, it becomes an incoherent story. I'm just saying. But it's not just that. It's not just, please understand, it's not just him. There's a lot of incoherent stories out there. And there's a lot of people not going far enough and weaving and out of traffic. You don't want to weave in. Y'all remember the game Frogger? People weaving and weaving and weaving in and out of traffic. It's not just Charlamagne weaving out of traffic and omitting things that should be included in the story. Right? It's not just him. Right? It's not just him. We have a lot of people who are weaving in and out. Can't stay in one place. Saying stuff don't make sense. Saying stuff one day, saying something different the next day. See, I don't think enough of us, let me see if I can find this, understand that where we are now is about specificity. When you talk about an ADOS agenda. You're talking about specificity and commitment to that specificity. Because we're not any other group. We're not a group that's in the middle. We got a hierarchy. Yes, there are some poor people, and we're gonna try to take care of them. But we have a strong middle class, have a strong upper middle class, strong elite, super elite. We're not talking about that. When your group is drowning, you don't say, well, I'm gonna try to save you and you get a life raft. You get a life raft. You get a life raft. No, you take your life rafts to your people. And you get them however you got to get them. You get them how you live. So that's what I'm saying. So we got a lot of people. Let's talk about the church. Reverend Barber came out. He can't stay on his square to save his life. He loses his footing every time. Since everyone is talking about the importance of the black vote, I hope every candidate will detail how their policies would close the black wealth gap, address black poverty, low wealth, ensure health care, and defend against racist voter suppression. Okay. All right, Barbara, that's what you said. Now, that's what he said right after, I think, Bernie lost. After Bernie lost, everybody started parroting ADOS. But then, you come right back around, and he says, this was the All Lives Matter tweet of the coronavirus epidemic. He came in there and said, well, now understand, you just said we need a black agenda, but then you ran and you crossed the street. They keep running and crossing the street. So then you weaved. Those who suggest COVID-19 deaths of mainly black people are leading folks astray. The African-American death rate is devastating as a percentage and must be addressed, but more whites have died than blacks. Don't let racists lead you astray. Now understand, who are you calling racist, sir? This thing is lethal and we fight it together. This is the chart he put up. This is somebody who doesn't understand math. This is somebody who doesn't understand basic arithmetic and proportionality. Of course. Look at this. Look at this from Antonio. Of course, there are more white people dying. We are the minority. 197 million whites and 42 million blacks. If there's a disease out here, unless there's something, yes, there are going to be more white people dying. We're talking about disproportionate rather than proportionate deaths. You don't know math, but you don't want to know math because you got to do a grift. You got to make sure everybody's included in your thing. So you say some stuff, let me tell you what. This is the same thing I told Roland Martin when he said, I wrote about holding. I said, I told Roland, you didn't hold Obama accountable. You went around there sniggling and giggling. And I tweeted him that long time ago. He said, I wrote an article about it in Essence. I said, you might as well have just wrote something on your bedroom wall. What does that matter that you did that? How does that matter? Advocacy is a drum beat. Never forget that. You don't weave in and out of traffic. You bang your drum. You bang your drum. It's a drum beat. It's not some kind of thing that you weave in and out of. This man, Reverend Barber, went from I hope we have a black agenda to I don't know why y'all keep talking about it. Everybody dying and we got to work together. What do you mean? A disproportionate number of ADOS are dying, or black people are dying for a number of reasons. But you don't get to say, well, you see, white people dying too. Yes. We don't look at numbers, though. We don't look at the sheer number. You have to look at, because we're a minority. You have to look at proportionality. What's wrong with you? And it's not just him. I can't see what the girls, what she said, because, but Tiffany Cross came out. And she said she had something to say too about the black agenda. As someone who actually read his black agenda, I'm sad so little satisfies you. Alicia Garza has done amazing work in this space. We reference her comprehensive work. For folks who actually read what we wrote, Black Agenda 2020, join the movement. Somebody sent this to me because I can't see it because the child blocked me. I don't even know why. People just block for no reason. Oh, hothouse flowers. Oh, wilting flowers. But anyway, I say that to say this. So I decided I'd go take another look at this agenda. Right? So for those of you who want to look it up, here it is. I decided I'd go take another look at it and see what did I miss. Because remember, the data was always, I did a whole show about the data. If you don't remember that, go look at it. I did a whole show about the data and how it was skewed, and they included too many trans people for the population, and it was a lot of stuff going on that didn't kind of make no sense in terms of who got chosen and whatever. So the data wasn't really right. But even when you say you got a black agenda, let me tell you something. We ain't half crazy over here. So what I see when you go and look at the agenda, it's a lot of stuff in there that is basically a class agenda that they have masquerading as a black agenda. This 90% of black census respondents view wages as too low to support a family as a problem in the community, and 85% support raising the minimum wage. Raising the minimum wage is a Bernie idea. That's fine, but don't call it a black agenda. That's not part of any kind of black agenda. That's not what it is. This is a class agenda. You know, believe me, let me continue for one second, please. Like the old people say, 1 second, please. Let me make this a little bit bigger so we can go from part to part. Hold on 1 second. Well, it just says it right there, don't it? Enact universal family care, social insurance policies, eliminate sub-minimum wage loophole, that's Fair Labor Standards Act. However you feel about it, that's still a class-based initiative. Support the right of private sector workers to organize. That's a class initiative. Establish wage standards boards. In the Landrum-Griffin Act, restrictions on the ability of unions to hire some formerly incarcerated people. That's good. You should hire more formerly incarcerated people. That ain't gonna cut it though. Garza. Unionize, strengthen the capacity to unionize. Okay, let's move on. That's still a class-based issue. You know, you have to. I mean, when I said about they included too many trans people, it's like they included 4% trans, and the real number of trans is 0.8. Like, that's a skewed number. You can't do that. You can't do that. You can't. That's not. The math ain't right. But anyway, let me just go to this. 86% of black census respondents say they lack affordable housing. So what they gonna do? They can control for housing prices. That's great, but that is not a black agenda. That's not an ADOS agenda. That is a class agenda. Fully fund housing, urban development budgets. I don't see any specificity for black people here. Where are the Negroes? Everybody, where are the Negroes? See, I'm watching all of this, and it's good for everybody. I don't see where it's just the best thing I saw was this little thing about hiring people with records. That's it. That's not good enough. That's not transformational. That's not a black agenda. This is a class-based agenda. I don't know what you're talking about. Where are the Negroes? Okay, K through 12 education. That's a class agenda. That's class. That's not specificity. If it's not about specificity, it is not a NATO's agenda. If we're not talking about reparations and infusing ADOS communities specifically with a redistribution of wealth, not communities in general or poor people in general, specifically ADOS community. Don't say, well, black people are disproportionately represented amongst poor people. No, that's not what we're saying. This includes everybody. And this was not a black census. Stop calling it that. Increasing taxes. This is a class-based agenda. This is Bernie Sanders in blackface. Bernie Sanders in blackface is not a black agenda. I'm sorry. Fix our broken immigration system. This is not a Negro agenda. Most Negroes were born here, got grandparents and grandpapa and grandmammy here. All ADOS have grandpapa and grandmammy here. Overwhelming. So I don't know. This is not, no, that's not our priority. I don't know how many Negroes you could walk up to and be like, hey, what's your priority? They say, we gotta fix this immigration system. We got to do it. We got to do it because it got to be done. And people got to stop telling me about the Voting Rights Act, because that's not that's not a gift, man. That's not even a gift. That's something we're supposed to be able to just vote. We citizens. Like, I don't even understand how that's just like, well, we gonna make y'all citizens. We citizens already. What's wrong with these? Anyway, don't get me all hopped up over that. I don't even know what this one is. What is this one? What did it say? Hold on. Let me move it around. Let me see. Healthcare. Yeah, that's not, you didn't say healthcare for the Negroes. This looked a little bit racist, but okay. And all I'm saying, fam, let me just come out of this now. It's a wild and crazy time, ain't it? When somebody can just put a bunch of black people on a Bernie Sanders plan and put it out as though it's about us. Like, they just took like a lot of Bernie and leftist policies that help all poor people and lower middle income people and middle income people, all of them, and just put a bunch of black people in there and said it was a black agenda. These are wild and crazy times. So, listen. I don't even know what they was doing. That was some wild stuff, child. They just said, we just gonna put these Negroes in here. And let me just say this before I go to Tiffany Cross. Tiffany Cross, you said a while ago, I remember you went out on a limb and I co-signed you. I don't know why you blocked me. I said you was right. But you don't do enough. But you talked about how Anand, I can't remember his name, but he said that he had been on, I don't know if you all remember, he said that he had been on TV and he had never sat with someone who was poor, and the people who he does shows with on MSNBC and appears with, they have money and other people don't. Something like that, he said. And I did a show about it. And Tiffany Cross came and said, my mother still lives in poverty. I've shared the green room with people who echo the same myopic perspectives from the chattering class. They're celebrated, elevated, and paid well. They have shows and lucrative contracts. I speak the truth for free and juggle bills. And she was very honest about what she doesn't have economically, right? She was very honest about. Oh, here it is. Here's a little guy who started this off. It all started from his tweet about. And so this was the first of her tweets from a while back. Everyone on cable is prosperous. He's never sat next to an uninsured person on the air. He and I have shared the screen together. He gets paid to appear on MSNBC. I do not. I'm uninsured, have no steady income, and grew up below the poverty line. To support my family, I began my career in cable news 20 years ago. It's still the same. I navigate all communities of color. That's part of your problem. I deal with white media elites. I'm around the working class. I am the working class. It informs my analysis, Anand. Nice to meet you. But let me tell you something, Tiffany. This black agenda that you just celebrated, it don't fix your problems. So maybe you get access to some better health care. Maybe. But it doesn't fix your problem. It doesn't fix an immigration, none of that stuff. You know what fixes your problem? Reparations fixes your problem. Because you move the whole group with and I think reparations, I've said this before, is a multi-generational project, not just one. but it puts you in a protected class, and it infuses you and the community around you so that you can network with other people with money. You're not the only Negro with money. You're doing business and doing things, and we have black media, and you could appear on a black media network. Hell, you could own black media, right? Given your expertise. This stuff right here, this Black Agenda 2020, don't fix your life. So unless you're ready to advocate for that, I don't want to hear about you and what you're going through. And even if you got a part of your life like healthcare fixed, it doesn't fix all the black people around you. So you still running around and people are still going to be looking for you as they lottery or whatever, because it doesn't fix the community. It doesn't do what it doesn't do. Your life under this Black Agenda 2020 doesn't change. You still going to be running around from show to show. You might have some insurance. I'm sure that's beneficial, but it doesn't transform your life. You might have some Medicare for all, but it doesn't transform your life. It doesn't make you whole. It's piecemeal. So the thing that you're supporting because you want to support Alicia Garza for reasons I don't understand does not transform your life and give you the opportunity that we all deserve in the country that we built. We could have our own media, our own newspapers, our own TV stations, but we don't have to run over there all the time. Hell, can you imagine a world where my media competes against your media? And we still work together, but I mean in good fun. We both got multi-million-dollar media in the black media, and we just doing, I do this and you do that, and he do this and she do that and he do that, and we just got in every area of life we're like that, and we hire our people and we got people on board. Can you imagine that? Like, dream bigger. That's what reparations is, but it's a debt. It's not something that we just asking for. No, it's a debt. And it's a multi-generational project. The same as the Jewish community had. Multi-generational. That's what we're looking for. That's what we're demanding. Because it changes the hierarchy of the group. So we can do business and do things with one another. Have ownership. Have agency. Have wealth. Intergenerational wealth. So that if we do, we have relationships with banks. The bank will pick up the phone. Nobody picking up no phone for us now. That's how we got screwed in the thing. It shouldn't have never been the bank's hands, no way. But that is what it is. Anyway, fam, I got carried away. Let me go to the phones. Give me 2-3 minutes. Set up the phones. I will be back, and we will have the conversation. All right, family, we are back. We are back, and we are about to go to the phones. Go to the phones. Go to the phones. See what everybody got to say. I'm going first to. I'm going to 215. 215. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hi, Yvette. How are
Hey,
you?
pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm from Philly. My name is Morgan.
Hey, Morgan.
I was calling in because I saw your previous show about Obama, and I was with my sister, and she's always kind of been really into Pan-Africanism. But what struck her was the black doctors and the lack of lawyers.
Mm-hmm.
And, that really struck her to the core. She's an educator. She works in the Philadelphia school system. And it's she says it's kind of hard to, get black doctors when people can't even read.
Mm.
And she says that she had a list of things that she wanted me to tell you. So I'm just going to give you 3 of them.
Okay.
She says that we need to focus on reparations, lineage, education policy, which we do. But she says, there should be a wing of ADOS movement that analyzes the failure of Pan-Africanism and also provide clear political education. We have to give people a way out of Pan-Africanism that alleviates their guilt. She says that we also should do more to address the influence of Pan-Africanism over generations, because we're basically asking people to abandon a narrative that we've had for so long in teaching you have to get scaffolded. And I know you understand that because that's basically what you've been doing with ADOS this whole time. And she's just like, we are telling people to abandon an emotional attachment. We are not telling people to abandon their emotional attachment to Africa. We are just trying to get ADOS to embrace our specific lineage so that we can engage the rest of the diaspora and continent as equals. That's what she says.
All right, fam. I appreciate it. I appreciate
All
it.
right,
Thank you. Thank you for calling in. Well, the thing is, I can't, I think people behave sometimes, and I don't mean no disrespect to her sister, but this is like a multi-million-dollar movement, and we can bring in therapists, and no, we can't do that. And people just got to look at it and understand. We have a lot. If nobody had done it, I would say it was really hard. But the thing is, we have a lot of people have been able to look at this and be like, yeah, I looked at it a long time ago too. I could never wear a dashiki for some reason. I just could not do it. But I used to think just everybody's the same, because that's what Howard University taught me. Leadership for America and the global community. That was our mantra. I believed all of that. I just can't. Everybody's gonna have to be able to do what ADOS does and what I did. You're all gonna have to walk out of it. Now, that doesn't mean you hate anybody. Everybody has their own lineage they should be proud of. I don't care whether you are Ghanaian or you're Kenyan or you're Eritrean or you're South African or whether you're Irish or I don't, or whatever you are. You have your own history and lineage and you should be proud. I'm just not a part of that. It doesn't mean I dislike you. It just means when your people sold me over here, some of those people, to the white man, ties were cut. And it's not my fault. It's not our fault, that we don't know which tribe we might have come from. But then we came over here, and through rape and in some cases intermarriage during the early days, especially the Irish and the blacks in Chicago, a whole lot of stuff happened. And now we're just kind of like this amalgamation of stuff. Now, some black people might have 95% African countries, and it might be a bunch of different African. You might be mixed up with what would be, Benin and some Nigeria, whatever. What are you supposed to claim? Which country are you supposed to claim? Let's say you have 10% Nigerian and 15% British and 30% Benin. Which country you gonna claim? Like, it just, at a certain point, it just becomes a silly conversation when you really pay attention to it. And it's just like, most immigrants who even immigrate here from another country, like willingly immigrate here, after about 4 generations, they lose it. Like, they lose their connection to where they came from. For some reason, we have just kind of decided to be perpetual outsiders in our own country that we built. And it just doesn't make any sense. Just understand that you're American. You built the country, and the country has been very unfair to us. But that doesn't mean like that we didn't make everybody else's life possible. It just is what it is. And at a certain point, you just have to you have to be able to grapple with it. But that's going to have to be some work that she does. And I appreciate the lady for calling in, but that's going to have to be the work that she does. I have no connection to a continent. Like, I don't understand. Like, even if you hear somebody who's from Italy, they'll talk about Italy. Nobody talks about, I have such a strong connection to Europe. Nobody who's Japanese talks about, I have a strong connection to Asia. It's just stupid talk. And at a certain point, we got to understand that we did a lot of stupid talk. And it's not our fault. People made us feel like we were lost because we were abused in America. Then a lot of other people took advantage of our lostness and said, well, we're the motherland. Your problem is you don't have a connection with us over here. And stuff like that. And so people took advantage of us. But now we're clear. The only thing that matters is that we're clear. And we know now we don't have a connection with an enormous continent. Hell, half the continent most doesn't have a connection with itself. It's not like Europe where you can just get on a plane and go here, go there, so everybody. No, they have different cultures, different religions, all kinds of stuff, and they don't intertravel a lot. So they don't even have a connection half the time. So how are you expecting us who have been removed from there for generations to have a connection? We don't. And it's no ill will. It's not upsetting. It's fine. It's whatever. And don't tell us how awful America is. We know better than anybody because of what has been done to us in terms of the failings of the country. But don't tell us how awful it is once you came here from there. Like, you came here. You moved here. We were chained and brought here. You moved here voluntarily. And you want to come here and tell us how awful it is and how we shouldn't, claim our Americanness. It makes no sense. So, anyway, going to my next call, I am going to 404. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hi, Yvette. This is Ewell Anderson. I'm calling from Rockdale County. How are you?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
Great. Just listening to you. Thankful to my wife, Brenda, for bringing you into our home every week, watching you and listening to you.
Thank you.
We enjoy that. I just wanted to talk about the fact of sometimes we as Black Americans over-romanticize about Africa. And I think sometimes we spend so much energy on trying to save Africa that we're not getting as much in return, that we need to get a lot of support from the Africans for our rights here in America like we gave for them. The other thing I'm working on is I'm working on a project with UNESCO talking about the future legacy of slavery. And at the end of the day, it appears to me as if slavery is another product that's being stolen from us, and that slavery is no longer an ADOS story, that it becomes an international story. And so I'll be putting together a workshop on a post-COVID-19 Future Black America 2053 research workshop, and I would love to invite you to be a part of it with UNESCO.
Okay. Send me an email. We'll see.
Super.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for calling in. All right. Let's see who we go to next. Who is next up on our list? I am going to 808. 808, I'm coming to you. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hi, how are you?
Pretty good. How are
I'm
you?
Al, and I'm calling from Hawaii.
Oh, hey. How you doing?
I'm fine, and how are you?
I'm pretty good.
Okay. A couple of things I wanted to talk about. The first was in relation to the couple of people that you were talking about. I think you had mentioned Joy Reid and Charlamagne.
Yeah.
Now, I have to come off and say I'm not an expert in every area when it comes to African American neighborhoods and communities and aspects. So I want to make that very clear. But my observation has been that what I find odd is that people like Charlamagne are in the forefront when it comes to sort of representations of what is termed African American media.
Mm-hmm.
It strikes me as odd that he's a guy that's getting all of this, how do I put it, all this press, all this media for interviewing Joe Biden. And I think the question that anyone should ask is, why is this radio DJ talk show host guy interviewing Joe Biden? I mean, I understand that DJs sometimes interview people. I used to work in radio many years ago. Of course, I was playing oldies rock music, but that's a whole other story. What I'm curious about is, I look at this and I go, I'm trying to put this as politely as I can. I look at that and I say that's a reflection of how not only the Biden campaign looks at African Americans, but I think also has a certain amount of representation for African Americans. I mean, when you have someone like this represented as an interviewer or someone interviewing a person who might be the nominee for a major political party, it reflects poorly. It reminds me of something that I think Malcolm X had said years ago. He mentioned that in the African American, I don't think he was African American, but he said that entertainers were leaders, or something along that line.
Yeah, you should. Nobody has their entertainers as their leaders. But let me just say this, fam. Let me just say this.
Caucasians.
Yeah, let me just say this. They've been doing that at the Breakfast Club for a while, right? Like they go from like interviewing like Lil Yachty to interviewing presidential candidates. And you have to ask yourself though, why does anybody go to journalism school? Too, because you have all these black journalists who can't find a company, can't find a place to be, and like the person who ends up, interviewing the president ends up being Charlamagne. He goes from like I said, interviewing like Lil Yachty to interviewing the president. So it does say like, where are the people? We had a lot of black people go to journalism school. A lot of black people who have worked in media or who want to work in media or who are trained to work in media.
Right. Isn't there like a National Black Journalism Association?
Yeah.
Because I used to be a journalist.
Absolutely.
A print journalist. I was a freelance journalist for over 20 years.
Okay.
And my understanding is that there is a Black Journalism Association because there is with
National Association of Black Journalists. That's it.
I think I forget her name. She used to work in the Clinton White House. She was on a reality show or something.
Oh.
But there was some event where she had an argument with someone. But there's an association when it comes to African American journalists. So I think what you're bringing out, see, that's what I'm wondering. Like, why is this person, who's not only not a journalist, but my understanding is he's rather uneducated. I don't know. I don't know much about this Charlamagne person.
Well, let me
First
say
of
this.
all, I find it odd that an African American would name himself after a European king. I always found that odd.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a aside, but I just find it weird.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, I understand that. But let me just say this. Do you remember there was a whole controversy too about the same thing that you're talking about when Al Sharpton got his job?
Uh-huh.
When Al Sharpton got his job at MSNBC during the early time of the Obama years, a bunch of people from the National Association of Black Journalists were pissed because Al Sharpton can't even read a teleprompter, and you had all these journalists who like been jumping at the bit for a job, not forget just a job, a show, and you have this man who stumbles and fumbles and and trips all over the teleprompter, and you had the same type of thing. Like we're journalists.
That's an excellent example. I don't know if I should talk about Al Sharpton because I consider the man problematic in many ways, but I think that's an excellent example. I mean, it goes to what I had mentioned about the Charlamagne person. But what you need, I've interviewed politicians on a local basis when I was a journalist, and you can't go and interview politicians with not only not reading their plans, their positions, their background, but also approaching it from a rather vague, imprecise, and unprepared point of view, and he strikes me as somebody who is rather generic and had no specifics. I think your friend, I think his name is Antonio Mora. I think he had mentioned recently that he didn't. Charlamagne hadn't even mentioned Biden's so-called black agenda. I think it's Legendary Voice or something.
Yeah,
he didn't even use that as a reference. Go ahead.
You're exactly right. And he didn't know what he was talking about when he said like
Right.
he had no idea what he was talking about. I don't think he knows that's the black national anthem either.
If I were interviewing Biden, and I'm not interviewing anyone now, but if I were interviewing him on anything, one of the things that I would hit him with is basically the crime bill of 1994. I would hit him with the quote, "Every bill since 1976 has Joe Biden's name on it."
Ain't that a killer one? That's a killer, ain't it? Woo.
Yeah. And what supposedly he had said, I think he had said this, I believe he said this, he said, at one point he said, "I'd like to run and have someone use the crime bill against me." Supposedly he said this. If it's true, this is precisely what's being done. The Trump campaign has already cut an ad. It's already out. It's a pretty good ad. I'm no fan of 45, but it's a pretty good ad against him. But if I were interviewing him, and certainly I'm not a radio talk show host, I was a print journalist, I would say I would look at the crime bill of 1994. I certainly would use what happened in terms of plagiarism against him, especially in light of what he said about Mandela and about the civil rights movement. And I would also, dealing with Biden, also look at his tenure in the White House. As a vice president. I don't know why anyone hasn't looked at his record as a vice president, really looked at it, and started hitting him with it. This guy is about as feeble-minded, at least in appearance, as it comes. So when he said what he said, basically, if you don't vote for me, or if you vote for Trump, you're not black. You have to respond with something. And this Charlamagne didn't even respond with anything. Did he not understand what this man said?
Well, I think
he's
said
basically firing like a torpedo against you. He's firing a missile from a ship against you, and you're not even responding. Go ahead.
No, I know. I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. It's just, he said it's not about that. It's not about Trump or whatever. At that point he didn't say, I don't know. I think there's a lot that could have been said in that moment, but you would have really had to sit down and do a lot of studying, a lot of memorization. Because even for me, I'm good on what happened, but I will have to do the memorization. Huh?
This Joanne Reid person is problematic. I don't. I'm trying to put this in a professional context, even though I'm not a journalist anymore. I'm trying to put it in professional context. But I look at this Joanne Reid, and you look at her, the things that she said. You can look at what would happen with her with the Wayback Machine and what she said in her blog years ago.
Yeah, I remember that.
You can look at her own views. What she has said, not only about the left in many respects, but about various other subjects. This person is another ineffective media figure when it comes to the African American communities, it seems to me. Some people may disagree, but I just find that she's a totally invalid. To use it like a syllogism in logic, she's an invalid premise. She's extremely problematic.
Well, I agree. I've always said that. So I'm in agreement. I'm in agreement with you. I just don't understand. And Charlamagne said this is black media, and he's not black media. In order to be independent, you have to be black owned media, and kind of and people are like, well, Yvette, you say you don't like billionaires like that. Why were you with Byron? That was about I want to see black media again. I would like to be a part of the rebirth of black media, but that doesn't happen unless reparations happen. Because Roland Martin will say, I own a black media company. No, you don't, Negro. We're all on YouTube. And we're on YouTube at the grace of YouTube.
He's another problematic type. I had never heard of the guy before, and I've seen him. And again, I'm trying to be polite here, but why is it individuals like this? He comes off as a buffoon. I'm sorry, but he just comes off as a buffoon. He doesn't come out as a professional journalist. I know he's a professional.
Well, no,
I know this is actually a guy who's a professional journalist, but he comes off as a buffoon. What little I've seen of him, he really strikes me as a cretin and an imbecile. I mean,
well, he can't.
Maybe that's harsh to say, but
I understand. I understand. I'm not gonna say. I'm gonna let you go, Carl, so I can get to some other people. But thank you. I appreciate you calling in. I'm not gonna say anything nasty about Roland, but like Roland has a problem with controlling his emotions, and that is also something. He's a very arrogant person, and he has a problem controlling his emotions, and so that becomes an enormous problem when you are in this space. I saw what's that guy Whitlock something. The conservative guy who does sports or whatever, and I watched Roland's interview of him. And Roland was so upset and so invested in his point of view that it was a cringeworthy conversation to watch. But you could never tell him that. And I blame us for that. Like, too many of y'all done ran up to Roland in the airport and said, "Oh man, I love you, you the best." You shouldn't have lied to that man like that. Then he could maybe do some self-awareness. You know, and then he comes back. The same person who said reparations will never happen, Roland Martin, comes back and says, like, "Well, I didn't have no health care. My appendix exploded at NAACP conference, and they repossessed my car." Yeah, but the problem is you were lying to us. You were there, and you had your hair slicked all the way back, and you was trying to look smooth, and you had a pinky ring on, and you were trying to make us think it was all good, brother. You just got to learn how to do whatever. And your whole life was falling apart. See, everybody got to start being honest with what they going through and what their life look like. And we got to stop lying to each other and trying to make each other feel ashamed. Ain't nothing to feel ashamed. We all in the same place. Some people just hide it better than others. You see, even her, we talking about her. Don't she look like $1 million in that picture? You wouldn't even think if you just saw the picture that she was going through everything she said she go through. We just gotta stop. We just gotta stop all these lies and start telling the truth about our lives and what our lives look like. If you don't tell the truth about what your life look like, then people can shame you. Don't let nobody shame you into nothing. So anyway, let me go to my next call. I am going to 310. 310, what's going on?
What up, Vet?
What's up, Tom?
I'll send you an image to pull up, but if you could start off with the Charlamagne Joy Reid, I'll get you an image to pull up after you find it on email.
Okay.
But I want to hit a couple points, and I guess I'll start off with Charlamagne. It's interesting because I don't think that everybody understands that wasn't an interview and it don't matter. Like, when I say that, I mean, the only thing that matters now, if you can pull up the Charlamagne Joy Reid picture, the only thing that matters right now is ADOS and the amount of people that get interested enough through ADOS in black politics and reparations. Because, and I'm saying that after talking to Karen Bass, who was the president of the Black Caucus, I'm saying that talking to Byron a lot of hours about it and about how you gonna move this whole thing. I need you guys to understand that wasn't an interview. Because if we can't start, and what do I mean? I don't mean just structurally. Structurally, that wasn't no interview. The biggest part of that interview that came out was what? It was the last 10 seconds, and it was from Biden himself. It wasn't a question that led to that. It was just Biden making a mistake. So basically, when Yvette pulls up the tweet that I just sent her from the Breakfast Club, I want us to have a timeline on this thing. The day before is the first time the Breakfast Club announces to me, like I saw, that Biden is going to be on the Breakfast Club. The reason I want her to pull up the tweet is because it only got 300 retweets. Let me say that again. The day before Biden was coming on is the first time I saw promotion. Maybe somebody saw something before that. But accepting that on his face, I mean, they found out the day before that he was going to interview this guy for 15 minutes. Okay. Then only 300 people retweeted it on their own page. This interview isn't Charlamagne's interview, it's the Clear Channel interview. This isn't even on his own podcast. I want to contextualize all of this because it's important to understand it. What I find is that Black America is in love with celebrity to the point that we make celebrity out of people that ain't celebrities. And so I talked to Charlamagne back with the black privilege, and I told him he don't make no sense. And I'm cool. I don't need to come on nothing. You can come on my show. If you could pull the bottom part of it, it'll actually show it. So I got 329 likes and 140 retweets. This is the presidential nominee coming on your show on the Breakfast Club Clear Channel Twitter, and it has 144 retweets. You go on Charlamagne's page. Charlamagne's page, most of his tweets have about 300 retweets or so, somewhere around there. After the interview, probably the only thing that got a lot of what's happening right now is we're making, I don't even, sometimes listen to people and they're talking to me about going on the Breakfast Club or Joy Reid show, and I don't even know if they understand media, let alone that all of it is irrelevant. At the end of the day, we make this smoke move. Without us, this all dies out. None of it matters. None of these people have a following. Not a political following. As long as they talk about Tekashi 6ix9ine or Cardi B saying somehow coronavirus, then people are watching. But the moment that they don't, then it don't matter. So why is all this important? Well, the problem is that because that wasn't an interview, it was something that if I had to call it, Simone Sanders set it up and messed up. That's why she's playing cleanup. If anything, if I had to call it the day before, we need to have him on your show, and y'all agreed to the next morning, and then that's why it's at that time of day. I don't know who's gonna be up at 7 a.m. Eastern, which is, understand what 7 a.m. Eastern is. It's 4 on the West Coast. What kind of time this is? And he gonna give you 15 minutes, and he gonna talk for 10 of those, if not 12 of those 15. Charlamagne's biggest mess up in that interview comes when the guy said, Charlamagne says something to the effect about his Lift Every Voice plan. Biden replies, I don't know nothing about that. I got a black manifesto. Not enough people. See, I'm hearing people say that was a good interview. I don't know. These are the same people that like some of this music that come out. I don't know what standard these people are using to judge what a good interview is. There was nothing good about that interview. The only thing that came out is the end part that didn't come from him asking a question. Meaning Charlamagne. The key moment for Charlamagne as the questioner asking person for Black America, he bungled. And that key moment is when he didn't know the name of that plan, to come back to that plan and ask the question without adding the plan in, without adding that's the Black agenda. And I'm talking about the Lift Every Voice plan. Do you know what the Lift Every Voice plan is? Have you read it? I just want to make sure that you've read the Lift Every Voice plan. That moment is how you really show whether you understand basic journalism, basic interviewing skills. I'm looking at this thing and I'm seeing everybody, and everybody wants to celebrate, but this ain't the moment to celebrate. And everybody wants to make this matter when this don't really matter. Only reason that I'm bringing it up is just to let y'all know where it all, the origin of it all, the background of it all, the reality that you can't go meet Trump. Because look, I said it on my show. Look, voting on an individual for like one person, most of y'all listed, is the most important thing you're going to do politically this year. But when you are in media, you vote all the time. What happened is this man voted for Trump in a way that I don't know if you can correct once he vouched for opportunity zones. So you're a Trump supporter at that point. And we're not talking about he just showed up to cover like an event about opportunity zones. They're going to announce it, and you're going to be there for coverage. He went there to grift and see if he could get some bread and be involved with some kind of opportunity zone stuff. And it's personal, not as an agent of the Breakfast Club, but as Charlamagne. This interview is not Charlamagne's interview again. It is Clear Channel. This isn't black media. You can call it, I don't even know if you can call it black targeted media. It's just media. It is Clear Channel getting with Biden. It is Clear Channel getting with MSNBC. It is not black media. Now, I want to move also, I want to talk about two other things. Can you pull up that Garza criminal image? Because that's an important point that I want to hit on that criminal image from the black agenda. I want to, while she pulls that up, the thing that's interesting about Garza is that she made her career on the backs of the deaths of particularly black males. And then she flipped their whole agenda to be intersectional. And I see much of that with her black agenda, which sits on top of a study which purposely undercounts the pain and suffering of black males. It just does. That's what they did on purpose. They said when you read the synopsis of their study, first of all, you don't got to interview 30,000 people. I have no idea what. Look, to make a study good, you either do a small sampling where it's in depth on that small sampling, you'll cover them for like 10 years or 5 years, and that's when you get real economists do that. Shapiro did that. Like real people that are. But another way isn't 30,000 people. It's thousands of people possibly, but not 30,000. But if you are going to do it that way, it has to be entirely random. You can't pre-select unless you're trying to say something about what that pre-selected group means. So what do I mean? If you just want to say what black people do, it got to be all random. But if you want to say what trans black people say, then you just say what trans, and you focus on them. She took a group. Understand, I want y'all to know about numbers so we don't have to play. She took a group and told us that the real number is 0.8, which is like nearly 1%. There's 42 million blacks. That would mean that we have 400,000 black trans people in this country. Hard to believe. I believe that the black trans numbers might be more like 0.1, 0.2. So already, we already off there. But she definitely took it to 3.5 to 4% and pushed them into the sample. That's a tainted sample at that point. We don't need nothing else from this sample. It's tainted. And that's just one part. She did a couple of other things. Oversampled college-educated black women. It was a lot of things done. Not to mention, I think that the trans thing, given our high propensity towards Christianity and the Deep South, it hugely skews the sample for our particular group with the way that the South and the Midwest tends to be in terms of Christianity and sexuality. I'm just saying. So the skewed sample is what these black women signed on to, and then they signed on to this black agenda that isn't a black agenda that reminds me of BLM in the sense that it's intersectional. So when you read it, it's not just intersectional. Let's read this section just to get clear, and maybe I'm reading it wrong. Redirect $20 billion from military and war spending into prevention programs that improve community well-being and address the root causes of crime, including behavioral. That's the first thing. Mental and physical health services. I have no idea how that's the first point you have when you're talking about this subject. I don't want to see no behavioral first when we're talking about this subject of incarceration or criminal justice. This, to me, reads like somebody else's report other than black folks making their own report. What do you think about that, Yvette? That line right there.
Yeah. But it's also piecemeal. It's also piecemeal. Like I don't want to be like we're the problem of we are the problem for crime. Like we do have some problems. We do need some stuff that needs to be fixed, as opposed to like fixing the thing that creates the problem.
I understand this. You talk about piecemeal. Who puts that before eliminate mandatory minimum sentences? Usually lead off with the main thing that you. Something strong, right?
Yep.
You put behavioral ahead of eliminate mandatory minimum sentences. Man, I'm just pointing at you might feel like it's nitpicking, but no, it's huge. And I'm saying to you, like, the other thing that I point out about this whole thing is it doesn't target ADOS. So the reason why that's important is that if you don't target ADOS, you don't really cut to the core of who is suffering. Because at the end of it all, black immigrants are doing much better than ADOS people in cities across this country, other than the ones that come as refugees. And again, everybody here came here as a black immigrant voluntarily. We didn't come here voluntarily, and we've been here hundreds of years. So let me explain that again. In Miami, we know that the Middle Haitian family from Haiti, which is the poorest, I believe, country in the hemisphere, had $2,000 liquid. The native black family has 11. We talked about the LA numbers with the Nigerians. I don't want to go over it again. I'm saying to you overall, if you don't want to break out ADOS, then you're not ready to do a black agenda. That's the bar. It's like, are you ready to quote unquote be divisive? It's not divisive. Just be honest about what makes up what constitutes Black America, so you can get to the agenda. Now, the last thing I wanted to talk about is this Africa thing. Look, we went over it. We talked about it. I respect the young woman that called first, but it is not our job to kowtow to fantastical talk. The only way this would have made sense, what she's saying, is if 20 years ago we were taken from Nigeria. 20 years ago. And some of us were born here, but most of us still have relationships in Nigeria. Then you gotta, and we now trying to say we not Nigerian no more. Then we gotta slow down and break this up, and we got cultural ties. Too many of us are selling out. There's a whole discussion that needs to happen. Some of us are using the old language, some of us are using English. It's a whole discussion. Stop telling me that I need to do something with these people that act very ornery towards us to make them feel better about the fantastical world that they created around Africa. Africa is a continent, not a country. It doesn't even function in any way as a unified place in the same way even Europe does. Europe has a currency and trains between them. They purposely divide themselves. You're asking us to do something they don't do in Africa, in America. You're asking us to recognize a fantasy that has led to us putting ourselves continuously at the bottom of a country we built. I'm not saying that maybe she needs to read some books and do that for herself, but we're not doing none of that. And if it's okay if we end up losing people as a result of that, but we out here doing politics. I'm going to leave it at that.
Appreciate it, Tone. Thank you as always. Much appreciated. Let's see. Yeah, ain't nobody doing that. Anybody? Well, my sister said I ain't got time. And I appreciate it. I appreciate what she said. But like, I can't get you to the space that you need to get to. You have to understand what I said and kind of pull yourself into that space. Your sister has work to do herself. And I appreciate what she said, but the work that she has to do, some people, like, everybody has work to do, and not all the work that you have to do is like in telling me what to do. Like, some of the work that you have to do is work you have to do on yourself internally and your particular friends and the people in your orbit. Going now to 757. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Yvette.
Oh, it is. What's up with you?
What's up, young lady? Look, I'm going to try to get in quick and get out, be concise, like I always tell everybody else to be. But that first caller that called in and was enlightening us on all the stuff and then had to back up and say, I believe or I think it is, tell him we got a new way to reg people in to make it easy on you. You can go to YouTube, Google ADOS Flow. ADOS Flow, FLOW. This young brother, Jerome Duffy, put out a little 2-minute thing that's got the names of some of us old people that's been around for a long time. Tell him jump on ADOS Twitter. Come that way, the same nice way he came here when he was enlightening us, and we'll get him a whole bunch of recurring training and some studying to do. Then he can call us back in about 60 to 90 days, because he's a former reporter, so I know he can get up to speed real quick.
All right.
Now, the other thing I want to say to you is, I got to agree with all the technical stuff Tone was saying, but there's a common theme that's going here ever since we started with the robot thing with Joy Reid, and I think I told you about it when it first started. But I'm going to say something else, too, that I don't normally do. You got some things up there in the wrong sequence. It's supposed to be Biden, charlatan, and Joy Please, because it really stands for big con job. Every one of these people are part of the big con. When you started out, everything that you said for 3 years, they've come into what I call COVID lucidity. You know I like to play with these people. All of a sudden, they've been in some kind of coma, and now the reparations is a hot word, and they can get in front of a mic. They mimic 2 or 3 talking points that they're the experts to get to expound on them, telling them, no, that's not how it works. We don't have a whole bunch of drum majors and marches up front. Sometimes you got to play the tuba or hand out the pamphlets at the damn gate in the entry to the field. Get in where you fit in. Oh, now, the other thing, Miss Cross, Now, Miss Cross, I'm not going to go through all the long details of how she originally came at you all raggedy. But she, again, is another one of those that their job is to usurp everything and be the gatekeeper, and they do it well. For instance, they have a condescending attitude, like she came out and said in the tweet that you put up, subject to the fact, perhaps had you read it, you would know something.
Ain't that something?
About talking about Biden. So the assumption is, once again, they're always the smartest one in the room because that's the way they were when they were at the PWI. Since they was the smart Negroes there, they think they're the smart Negro among other Negroes. So I sent her a tweet and told her, I'll paraphrase it, there is a possibility that we read it and it's the same tropes that we've heard from everybody else. Don't make the assumption that we're the ill-informed one here. That's been a constant thread throughout this, whether it was Roland Martin, Angela Rye, and now. Here's what I'm going to get to you about the name theory, then I'm going to cut it off because, I got about 20 talking points. Shout out to the fam. I see y'all doing that work, putting all that data in Twitter instead of arguing with people anymore. Drop that knowledge and keep on strutting. All right. When it comes down to the focal point of what these people are doing, they're trying to steal reparations just like the person was saying about stealing slavery. They want to control the narrative. I've seen them all talking about it ought to be education, it ought to be this, but not maybe some check, what people going to do with it. Hold on. You don't get to do that. Guess what? We got this conversation to the national stage, and now we're also, you had a project takeover. I think we're in the phase now. We will control the narrative, ask us the questions, we'll give you the answers, and we can have a discussion once you get up to speed. Because I hate to paraphrase Tone. At this stage of the game, you don't know enough to lead the conversation. We're willing to exchange some knowledge with you, but you don't get to run nothing. Power to the people. Shout out to the fam. Much love.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Otis. I appreciate you calling in. As always, appreciate it. Hadn't heard from Otis in a minute, but he all right. He in now. I'm just saying. I am just saying. Go to the next call because people be like, ah. That's how I hear it in my So let me go to the next call. I am going to probably like a couple more calls, then we'll call it a night. 954, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hi, I'm Consuelo, and I'm calling from Florida.
What's going on, Consuelo? How you doing?
How you doing, Yvette?
I'm doing
so
pretty
happy
good.
to talk with you and hear Antonio. I've just been involved in the movement in the last year.
Okay.
I am a mental health specialist or therapist here.
Okay.
But what is bothering me is that, like the other caller just stated, we need to be driving this. It's not about, I'm having an issue with many immigrants stepping in our position and speaking on these, on Black agenda, on reparations, because we have lived experiences, and there are certain nuances that I feel that are being purposely left out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm having an issue with it. I'm trying to not segregate us.
Give us an example. Who is speaking? You think like in the stead of ADOS, or instead of ADOS, in like a that you say, hey, maybe this person doesn't really know ADOS life or whatever.
Well, even like like the Congressional Black Caucus.
Okay.
Like some of their tweets. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Really, where's this coming from? We're not immigrants. We were, descendants of enslaved people. So how can you call us immigrants? And then as far as like on MSNBC, I noticed that they have the young lady, I know she's working on the campaign for Biden and all of that. And Simone is, I think she's a Black American, but I don't know that, so. Right? But still, just out in the community, when I talk with people and individuals here in Florida, there's a great deal that are immigrants and then want to tell me about my history here. Like, you just came here maybe 10, 15 years ago, and you want to tell us what we have been experiencing, which now they're beginning to experience, right? So,
Oh yeah, that COVID,
yeah,
that coronavirus gonna have a lot of people experiencing some blackness that they never knew. It's even some white people gonna fall into the bottom, gonna be looking at us in the bottom cast. They might not stay there, but yeah, I think Corona's gonna have a lot of people experiencing like this. That little hierarchy you had is like this little buffer group. It's gonna be gone. But yeah, I'm gonna let you finish, fam. I'm sorry.
No, so that's what really is bothering me. Like, I really feel like more of us need to be in the driving seat. And journalism, yes, that's one of the ways that we can really drive this, so that other individuals that are watching MSNBC can get a real proficient, or, you know, a better rounded picture of what we're doing, instead of these people mocking us and not allowing us to have a voice. And then there's they're skin folk, but they're not kin folk, right? So I have an issue with that.
All right, fam. I appreciate
That's all I wanted to say.
I appreciate you calling in. I'm going to what might be my last caller. I'm going to 678. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
How you doing? My name is Louis Turner. ADOS love, baby. Hey, I enjoy you and Tom. And I just want to say, you know, you guys are doing a very good job. And my opinion, I think I think a lot of black people are bringing more religion into the subject of, you know, reparations or the black agenda, because, you know, a lot of my people, I, you know, put out the ADOS one-on-one black agenda, and my response, their response to me was, oh, it don't include anyone else. And, you know, I kind of have a problem with that, you know. It's kind of hard, you know. It's frustrating being a black male here in America, you know.
Yeah. Well, I don't even understand like where that comes from. Like when the Native Americans got what they got, nobody said, "Oh my God, the Native Americans didn't ask for anybody else." So.
Right, I'm losing that.
Oh, okay, it's all right. Thank you for calling. I appreciate you. I think the phone was doing something. That's gonna be the last call for the night. But listen, what we're gonna do. We talked about when to have the call-in only show. I know some of y'all love it, some of y'all hate it. But we're not gonna do that every week or every other week. We're gonna do that. When we do the book club, and I got the image for the book for the next book club. So somebody do the little drum roll. Anyway, so the book club is always the last Thursday of any given. Hold on, let me move. Month, right? Isn't that what we do it? Okay. Okay. So the book club, the book is always the last Thursday. So what I want to do so the book club is the last Thursday. On the third Thursday, we will have a call-in only show. Right? So if you have the book club, the book club isn't every month, but the book club is, when we have it, it's the last Thursday. So the week before that is the call-in show. So we'll do one call-in only show a month, because I know we don't ever get to everybody who's in the call. If we didn't get to you tonight, I apologize. We never get to everybody. My queue is always full now, so I never get to everybody in the queue. So I apologize. But so this we won't do. So of course there's none this month. The second call-in only show will be in June. So prepare for like the third Thursday. The third Thursday to have if I'm saying that right, the third Thursday to have the call-in only show. Thank you for the drums, fam. I sure do appreciate you. The third Thursday to have the call-in only show, and the last Thursday, if we have a book club, if a book club is scheduled for that month, the last Thursday of the month, we will have the book club show. And the book club for our next book club, this is going to be I think it is July 30th. We're going to talk about immigration. The person who just brought it up, immigration and the remaking of Black America. We're going to read that and have a conversation about it. I think, if I'm looking at it right, I think I saw July the 30th as the date for that. Let me just double check. Yes, July the 30th is the last Thursday. It looks like the last Thursday of July. So July the 30th. We will read. Very excited about it. I saw some good charts. You can get me involved with some good charts. I saw some good charts. I checked it out. The other book with the health, we might get to that one later, but it just seemed a little bit, I don't want to, too depressing for what we're going through at the moment. Some people said, nah, whatever. But I just kind of was like, nah, it's too much for the family to go through at the moment. So I just couldn't do it. I just could not do it. So family, that will be the next book club book. Like I said, July the 30th. So July the 30th, that gives you time. We're not even in June yet. So please get the book. Please read the book. I have started reading the book. And that's good stuff. So that's good stuff. So fam, until next time, please finish your libation. I know it's a holiday. You better not have been outside around a bunch of people who you don't know whether or not they have been social distancing and quarantining. Now that would have been reckless. I saw a lot of Negroes running up and down these streets, and I said, So I hope you took care, made some barbecue or whatever at the house. Enjoy yourself. But anyway, family, anybody have any good kind of food or something? I think I'm hungry. Anyway, fam, please hit that like button. Please share. Please subscribe. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe. Make sure you do that. If you want to donate, as always, please go to donatebrown.com or patreon.com/WaCarnell. Please do that. Somebody had beef brats. Who else had something good? Y'all was eating. What you made? I made some. What you made? Anyway, please do all that good stuff, family. I would appreciate it. But hitting that like button is very, very, very important. Please do that. Please take care. Please take care to do that. And I will see you all next time. Take care and all that good stuff. Till next time, family.